Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Career Life Nigeria September monthly session. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So for this month's monthly session, we are having 4 facilitators, and we are looking at tech because we all understand that right now the industry that is making the most waves, many people are beginning to transition into tech. Many people are having interest in breaking into the tech industry, but they have no idea how. While some have mentors who are willing to hold them by the hand and walk the way with them, there are some people who need the knowledge and the experience of someone who is ahead of them to show them the way and tell them how it's done, the certifications that will be needed, the platforms they should be on, the tools that they will need so that their transition can be a successful one. So this evening, we'll be having 4 facilitators from different niche in the tech industry. We have Tabitha Kaviu. She is Kenyan and she is into tech, as we all know. We have Madiya Oduwole. She's Nigerian. She's a machine learning engineer. We have Adedayo Adeyemo, who is a technical recruiter. We have Samuel Iyomere, Nigerian as well, who is a senior software engineer. So Madiya would be joining us later because she has a function to attend and she hopes to join us before 6 p.m. I'm just going to give a brief introduction of the speakers. So Tabitha Kavi, as I said earlier, is Kenyan, and she's presently the community manager for an EdTech organization. She's also the community coordinator at Google Crowdsource. She has worked as a technical recruiter before. But before I continue, I just want to ask Tabitha a quick question here. Do you ever think one day you'll go back to recruiting, or did you leave recruiting because of the tensions and you want to be more happy? Because I know that tech recruiters, they're mostly frowning. Not that they're not living happy lives, but it's like they are not really satisfied on the job. So I just want to ask Tabitha a quick question here. Do you think one day you go back to recruiting, or recruiting is a no-no for you forever?
Thank you, Stevie, first of all, for the introduction. I didn't know you knew so much about me. But regarding your question, I hope you can hear me. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, all right, thank you. So regarding the question, do I think I'm going to go back to recruiting? Well, I'm not quite sure. To be honest, I was lucky enough to start off with recruiting, though that's not what I've always wanted. My long-term goal or dream was to do something along the lines of community, things like developer relations. And so, I mean, I don't think I'll go back to I don't know. I really don't want to say because you don't know what the future holds. But if I'm really talking about like what I want for myself and what I truly desire is just to continue in the community space and yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I'll continue with introducing her. She's also a volunteer, as she has considered that the way to give back to the community is by volunteering. We also have Adedayo Adeyemo. Adedayo Adeyemo is a senior technical recruiter who is self-motivated. Let me mention here now that, of course, every recruiter must be self-motivated because it is not all the time that your candidates get motivated. Adedayo, am I right?
Hello.
Yes, did you hear the question?
Yeah, I think the network was breaking while you were trying to.
Okay. I said that Adedayo Adeyemo is a senior technical recruiter. Who is self-motivated. If you don't motivate yourself, it's not all the time that your candidates motivate you, so you have to motivate yourself. So I'm asking, am I right what I said? That not all the times do candidates make you happy with the conversation. So when you're trying to
Well,
am I correct?
yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's just what it is. Motivation, I think one thing is this, you have to look for a way to motivate yourself, because especially when you're trying to put a candidate forward for a role and surprisingly, even at the verge of getting an offer, they could turn you down. And you know what that means to you as the middleman there. So it could make you feel down, but it's something I think over time, over the years, it's something I'm used to. So that's the need for a backup at every recruiting process.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adedayo. Also, its core competencies, Adedayo's core competencies are talent sourcing, technical and non-technical recruitment, talent management, offer negotiation and closing, business partnering, strategy, and operations. Now I'm going to move over to introduce Samuel Iyomire. Samuel Iyomire, I'm sorry, I hope I got the pronunciation right, is a senior software engineer with over 12 years experience in software engineering and 6+ years as a technical team lead. He's a career mentor who loves to see others succeed, and I can vouch for him on that. That's really the career mentor, because I've had like a personal meet up with him one time where he was willing to help this young graduate, this very fresh graduate actually, who wanted to transition into tech with no prior knowledge at all. It was like, just send the person over and going to work on him. So I'm sure of that concerning Samuel. Also, it considers challenges, satisfaction, self-development on the job as ways to achieve personal and organization goals. You're welcome, Samuel. You're welcome, Adedayo. You're welcome, Tabitha. And hopefully you'll get Madia, and then when she comes in and build. I don't want to give a profile when she's not around right now. I hope you all agree with me. So when she comes in before she start talking, I'm going to introduce her. So you're welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for doing this. And this is Career Life Nigeria again. And we do this every month to help community members grow. As our mission statement is to see people succeed in their career. So I'm going to start with Adedayo. Can you just give us a background to when you began a journey into tech?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Adedayo, as earlier introduced. I would say I started as a trainee recruiter, technical recruiter to be precise. Not even, at that time, I think I was looking for something for the future, not something for the now. I mean, not for something for the present. So I started back as far back as 2018, where I started as a training technical recruiter. Funny enough, when I started my my recruiting journey, I started in the tech arm of the business, whereby I handle anything technically inclined, InsurTech, LTech, the SaaS, the PaaS, the IaaS, all of these. That's a platform as a service, software as a service, and information as a service. And over time, one thing I discovered that, even prior before I started recruitment, I'd always have this, everyone will say I have passion for talents and I love interfacing with talent. But I'll tell you that one thing that has really, really motivated me over time is like putting a smile on people's face. When someone, I think I was in a conference sometimes, I say, hey, what do you do? I said, I put a smile on people's face. Like, wow, sounds like put smile. How do you do? So I believe the moment I'm able to link up. So what I do is be able to link up the talents with what helping them to find their ideal job, their dream job. It's something that I'm passionate about, something I'm happy doing over and over time. And I mean, all of these are able to grow to a level whereby I now do what we call international recruitment and even FMCGs, tech of oil and gas, engineering, and all sectors across all boards. Like I would say, yes, I have a full hands on them, but I just like, my forte is tech, it's technical recruitment. So that's why I found myself where I am today and I'm enjoying it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're enjoying it. So I'm not going to argue with you. Recruiters enjoying their work. Especially if you're in tech, I can believe you with all my heart, all my chest, that yes, you're enjoying your work. But if any recruiter that's not in tech tells me they're enjoying their job, I'll just look at them with one side of the eye and be like, okay, on you, if you say you are, then you are. All right. I'm going to go back to Samuel. Samuel is like a senior software engineer. Yes, he is. And as I said, he has like over a decade experience in software engineering. Samuel, please, I'd like for you to tell us also how you began your journey with tech. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Those in Lagos, those outside Lagos, those outside the country or outside the continent, good evening. And I'm excited to be here, to speak with you guys. So, and just to, correct a little bit of my introduction, I'm an engineering and people manager with Alert, or rather with Wema Bank. So I just thought, I should put that out there. So, and for my journey, I would say that I was interested in tech. If I was interested in building, let me use the word building, creating, moving thoughts into reality, right from when I was in school. And so that attracted me towards, writing of codes until I graduated in 2009. And then I got my first job as a software engineer, but then we call it software developer, in 2010. And I've been in the software engineering space between 2010 till date. And I think in 2016, that was when I moved from a software engineer into the leadership role. And I started as a deputy manager, then over time, into the role of a manager. And it has been pretty fun. It has been exciting. It's just that the challenging part of tech, let me put it in software engineering, is that as you grow into it, or the longer you are into it, the more difficult it is. What I mean by that is that new technologies, new frameworks keep springing up almost every day. And it might be a little bit difficult for those who have been in this journey for about, for a long time to keep up. Unlike, the younger guys with a lot of energy, as well as those who are coming in to learn the new framework. Unlike us, we have to unlearn what we used to know, because most of these new framework were impossible then. So we have to unlearn and believe that it's possible before we learn something new. But so far, so good. It has been fun. And I hope that you guys can get the best out of this session, or I can convince one or two of you to move into tech after this session. Thank you. But if there's any other thing you want to know about me, feel free to ask. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Samuel. Yes. I'm great to hear about your journey, and of course, thank you for giving us the window of opportunity to always ask you questions so that we can know more about you. Thank you so much. I'd like to speak with Tabitha now. Tabitha, you work at an edtech organization as your community manager, crowdsource. And when I went through your profile on LinkedIn, I saw you had like several certifications in software engineering, and I don't know what those certifications are. Sorry, I'm not a tech expert about things, Java, C++, all of those things. But you do not actually give us clarity on your career journey. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't get the last part. Semi, you're breaking it. What did you say?
Okay, I'm saying that you work at an edtech organization as the community manager.
Yeah.
You also work with Google Crowdsource as the community coordinator, right? And I said I went through your LinkedIn profile and I saw that you had like certifications in software engineering. I saw like Java, Python, SQL, all of these things. So I wanted to like give us clarification on your career journey. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm guessing you're surprised why my work experience is mostly community, and then I have this certification. So I studied computer science in school. I graduated actually last year. So I mean, as a computer science student, I knew that I'm going to do software engineering. And even while in school, I mean, we had to learn programming and things like that. So while in school and even after, I was, upskilling because I'm like, I'm already in the tech space. I want to try out software engineering because that's ideally, I mean, when you do computer science, people expect you to automatically be a software engineer, right? So there's that. So I was learning all those things. But then, like I told you, so while I was in school, I was a community lead for Google Developer Students Clubs, and organizing events for my community, like my fellow students to learn different Google technologies. I actually figured that I liked that. I liked, creating events, bringing people together and things like that. And so I identified there and then that I wanted to get into developer relations. So I knew that I'll have to do engineering for software engineering. Because that's what I had seen most people do. Like most people that are into DevRel, they started off as developers or engineers, and then in time they now grow up to becoming those community roles or DevRel. But then luckily for me, I started working as a community manager. So I mean, it was more like my long-term goal became my current, my current happening. And I have a background in software engineering.
And Mike, thank you so much. You really don't know. Maybe I should meet you. I kind of know you though, so I could like come to you for you to mentor me specially. I hope you'd like accept me when I do come. I trust you too. Yes, that's a yes. I can see the smile on your face. Thank you so much. Um, I need some clarification from Mr. Samuel Iyomere as well. I'd want to know, for me now, I don't know much about tech, but I want to know if like back-end engineering, front-end engineering, if you're on the software, so do you like do both your proficient in back-end and also like front-end as well?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
As a
Can you
software
repeat that?
engineer,
Okay.
yes, as a software engineer, do you work both as a back-end and also front-end engineer?
Okay, the answer is both yes and no. So first, you have to start your career. Okay, so I'm speaking, regarding those who are not into software engineering, and then you're just moving into, you're just picking up the career as a software engineer. So when you start your career, you have to. This is my advice anyway, and to those who are a mentor, and it has been awesome so far. You have to pick. First you have to measure yourself, measure your strength. You need to know what where you are going into. Then pick a particular. You have to focus on something. When I mean something, a particular path, okay, a direction. So that path can either be a software engineer, a DevOps engineer, a tester, or a scrum master, or a product manager, product management, and the rest. Okay. Then after you picked that particular part, then within that part, there are also parts in it. So let me focus on software engineering, which was the question that was asked. Okay. Then there is the front end, there is the back end, and then there is the DevOps. So you have to pick one of them to start with. So you are then, by picking, you then ask yourself, what do you like? What do you fancy? What do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy the beauty and the feel, of a car, or you are that crazy person that imagine what happens under the hood of a car, as in that engine that spins, the tire that spins, the cooling system, how a car generates heat in the engine, and how the cooling system cools it. If that is the way you think, then you have to look at the back end. So if you are looking at interiors, exteriors, how the car looks lovely, the paint, and the rest, then you have to think about front-end engineering. Sorry, I'm using the car analogy for this, but if you focus on the look and feel of the software, then I think front-end is for you. If you focus on the engine, the engine of the software, then backend is for you. Then if you focus on how these things move together, how they connect together, how you plug in the front end to the backend and the rest, then I think DevOps is for you. So that is it for those who are just starting up their career. Then as you grow into it, before you call yourself a senior software engineer, you need to know at least one front end and one backend, as well as DevOps. So while you grow, you add all these things together. Then when you move from a senior software engineer to a tech lead, you need to start having people experience. Then when you move into the management, you need to start having product experience, not just software again, software alone. You need to start having product experience and a lot of people management, as well as some little bit of finance experience, so that you can budget to say, okay, I'm recruiting 10 engineers. We want to build this product. We want to give you the timeline of this, let's say 2 months, 3 months, or 3 weeks. And then within this period of time, you'll be able to create a product, as well as minimize cost for the environment where you work. So that is the hierarchy of picking whether you want to be the front and the back, or when you have to learn both, or possibly add more to what you already know. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Samuel. And using the car analogy made more sense to me, and I'm sure everyone on this call will agree with me. Okay, and I have a question for Adedayo, but before I ask him, I'd like to speak with the participants and say, if you have any questions for them, you can please just send it to the chat room, and we'll be sure that we'll read out your question, and then it will be answered. So I'm going to ask Adedayo the question now. As a tech recruiter that you are, I want to know if you are knowledgeable in all the aspects of tech. What do I mean now? Whenever I hear someone say he or she is a technical recruiter, what comes to my mind is, okay, this person has a bit of knowledge in this, like all the spheres, all the niches that you can think of in tech. Or how do you do it so that you can recruit the best fit for a particular role in tech?
All right. Thank you for that question. I would say one thing, life as a whole, it's all about learning. I'm not a software engineer. I don't write codes, but I could tell you that I have some level of understanding when it comes to technical stuffs. Like we call it, some persons will call it the technical jargons, the algorithm, so one thing that makes me as an individual, as a technical recruiter, is this: your ability to understand every stacks. What are these stacks? Sometimes like someone mentioned, I was talking about back-end engineer, front-end engineer. As a front-end engineer, there are certain languages which you need to understand. You need to know you need to understand them. You need to have an in-depth of the stacks, even you as a technical recruiter, because it is by the time you're able to understand the stacks, it makes it easier for you to be able to profile a candidate for a particular position. Sometimes it comes as a front-end engineer, back-end engineer, full-stack engineer. Sometimes it comes as a DevOps. Sometimes it comes as enterprise solution architect. So you are able to understand, okay, what do you use? What's Node.js? What the functionality of Node.js? When it comes to you, like a client comes to you, or there's a request for a developer, we need a Node.js developer. To you, the moment they mention Node.js developer, you look at, oh, I think that should be a backend developer, so to say. And then the next thing that is left for you is now to start looking for people, developers, engineers, and also having to understand the cadre which they belong to, the family, whether they're junior software engineer, entry-level engineers, mid-senior and senior levels engineer, or lead engineers. So you need to have an understanding of all of these stacks to be able to function well as a technical recruiter. You need to understand what do they use the Node.js stack for? What do they use JavaScript, TypeScript, Next.js, Vue.js, React.js? All of these things, where they belong to. Is it the front end? Is it the front end language? Is it a back end language? Or you could have there could be instance whereby you need to be able to combine these stacks, like these languages together, to work, to make something work. And one common stack we all know, I don't know, maybe for the sake of those that don't know, in the financial sector, like pretty much the traditional banks in Nigeria, they typically use what we call .NET or C#. So, and over time, there has been some kind of advancement. I think someone can also attest to it, that it's not about C# .NET. Also, some people have adopted Golang, Java, and advanced Javas, and Spring Boot, and the rest. So all of these things, as a technical recruiter, is not about just bringing person. It's not about presenting candidate. It's about, does this candidate, does this person, does she has the stacks? Does she has? It's not about. There's what we call breadth knowledge and the breadth knowledge and the depth knowledge. Some, they just know that, yeah, I know it on paper, but the depth knowledge is someone who has gotten his or her hands dirty on this thing, has gotten his or her hands dirty while writing codes, algorithm overnight, and stuff like that. So these are ways whereby we're able to identify a very great engineer from just an engineer as a technical recruiter.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But just before I let you go, I'm going to ask you this question, and then I would want the other facilitators as well to also answer after you must have given your own response. What do you think, for someone who wants to build a career in tech, what do you think is necessary they should do? What's the first step that they should begin with? How do they begin their journey into tech?
If you want to begin your journey in tech, you're on this call, one thing is I tell everybody, every person around me, including those that are also tutor, determination is the fuel of focus. Determination is the fuel of focus. Number one, you need to know the reason why. Why do I want to cross into tech? Is it because they said, oh, there's more money there, it pays more? Yeah, you might, yet yes, of course, it pays more, but are you ready for the challenges that comes in the early days? And even look at what someone mentioned the other time that, yeah, that, the longer you stay, the more challenging it is, of course. And there are so many roles in tech, so many roles. You don't necessarily need to be an engineer for you to be in tech. You could be a salesperson, you could be a technical writer, you could be you could be a content writer in tech as well. Or it's just that when you do your content, everything you do at that moment is what centers, or it focuses on a particular industry, which is the tech industry. And when you're talking of the tech industry, we have a lot of other subdivisional areas. You talk about the fintech, the financial technology. You talk of the insurtech, that's insurance technology. You talk of health tech, which is health technology. And we have some people who basically what they do is just like what they sell is solution. What do I mean solution? Either like they build platforms. Like we all here are on a Zoom call. This is a platform. We're using a platform to have this call at this time. So some persons, this is just like, these are part of why these are part of the things some persons do. All they do that they build what the platform, they build solution. You don't necessarily have to be a software engineer. One thing is key, determination. You need to be determined. Why do I want to do this thing? Do I see myself, scaling in the next 5 years, 10 years, or where will I be? As a person, yes, I'm a technical recruiter, but to let you know that I also do other things. I also learn other things. Sometimes I go online, I go to research on some new languages, tend to like read on some other tech information. You get to know like, okay, which industry is flourishing at the moment, which industry is being affected by what, by migration. A lot of people are traveling and all of these things. So you just need to discover yourself, discover who you are, know your purpose, identify what your strengths, your areas of your strength and your weakness. Then you're good to go. And trust me, it's not going to be an easy ride for you, but determination will take you there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, determination is very needed. Thank you so much. I'm going to cross over now to Tabitha, and she should also give a perception. What do you think someone who wants to build a career in tech should do? Someone who has no prior knowledge in tech, how should they go about it?
Please, I don't know if it's my internet, but I didn't get what you said.
Okay, I'm asking, for someone who has no prior background, no prior knowledge in tech, but wants to build a career in tech, how would you advise they go about it? What are the steps or the major first steps they should take?
All right. I mean, this is an interesting question because what comes to my mind first when I just shared the question was before someone gets from point A to point B, they started at point A. And sometimes, especially when it comes to learning, point A is that point where maybe you have no knowledge about a particular thing. Take, for instance, when you are going to school, you go to school to learn, yeah? And the teacher might come in and say, oh, this month or this term, we're going to learn these different things. And sometimes it's always, I think for me, initially, you know how that feeling of when you're moving from one class to the other and you're like I'm moving to another class. Am I going to understand things? Like, am I going to survive? Am I going to pass? But then you come and realize that you don't even have to worry about that because you are going to be taught. So like you're going to learn even before you get to do your exams, you're going to learn. What I'm basically trying to say here is you have no knowledge in tech. That is where all of our students start from. You have no knowledge, but you have identified that you actually want to fix this. So the next step is to learn. Like, okay, you want to get into like, know what exactly you want to do. Do research because now the tech outside here, you don't have someone that take you to class and teach you everything. Well, there are people that do that, but then ideally, what I would say is, if it's my case and I know that, oh, I have no knowledge in tech, but I've heard about tech, And, Career Life has advised me that, like tech is a lucrative market, it's a lucrative field, and things like that. And so the next step for me is to identify, okay, so what exactly is this tech? And do my research, maybe read up on different things. What can I actually do? And then from there, take on the step to learn. I mean, even the research is part of learning, because you're not going to learn about this field that you want to get into. Yeah. And now you identify that there are many careers rather, or in tech. Software engineering is one of them. There's recruiting, technical recruiting, product management, product designers, product marketers. There's so many things that can be done in the tech space. So identify what exactly do you want to do. And if it's software engineering, okay, do I want to do Android? Do I want to do web development? Do I want to do cloud, machine learning and things like that? So one thing I usually say is identify what exactly you want to do. You can do this by talking to a friend, asking them, oh, someone is in tech, what are there? And then after talking to someone, go ahead and do your own research again, because at the end of the day, this is going to be your journey, right? So research what exactly interests you. I like one of our speakers mentioned about, passion and, liking something, you understand? So if I identify what exactly interests you, what do you enjoy doing? And then now see, can I do this particular thing in tech? And if I identify that thing, okay, what are the next steps for me? Do I need to learn? Of course, you're going to need to learn. Even now, we are always learning. And that's why, tell me, if you keep looking at my profile, you keep seeing different certifications, because we're learning, yeah? So identify what exactly you want to do and then start learning. Take courses if you can. Reach out to people, ask questions, and you will see yourself grow from a point of zero to somewhere. So I think the major thing I would say for here is learning. You just need to learn. And the learning comes in different formats. It could also mean going to events, listening to people, sharing advice about tech and things like that. It could be listening to podcasts, reading articles, or following people on Twitter, seeing what they're doing, and things like that.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. So now I'm going to move to Samuel. Samuel, what advice do you have for someone who would want to move into tech? Adedayo said determination, but you have to be determined to know what exactly and be able to put in your best, because it's not easy. And as Tabitha mentioned, that you have to identify exactly the niche you want to go into, and also then speak to someone. So what are your views on this? What do you say for someone who wants to do the career in tech? What would you advise they do?
Okay, thank you very much. I will start by saying that it is not a sprint, it's a marathon. In fact, it's not a marathon, it's a journey. So in the journey, it only starts, it never ends. You measure your progress by milestones. What it means is that if you are moving from one place to the other, where you stop at a particular point, that is your milestone. And some of these milestones are maybe the job you pick up, or maybe the certification course you successfully take, or maybe you pass. Those can be, or even the ones you fail. Those can actually be the milestones that you can say, okay, I've gotten somewhere, or I'm moving towards my destination. But the truth is that there's no destination. You only start the journey. Okay, and to explain better, I prepared a slide for the purpose of this. Do you mind if I share?
Oh, please, you can go
Hello,
ahead.
can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start this. Sorry, PowerPoint is not really my okay, that's it. Okay, so for career in tech, what I will say is I would have, okay, the first thing is I want to assume that a lot of the participants in this on this call, what you just want to hear is, tell me what I need to do so I can go start. The truth is that I want to believe most of the participants here are not really interested in the career in tech. They're just interested in, the caption of this particular call, which is the new oil. So they want to go grab the oil and make a lot of money. And what I would say is that that's not really the way it is. Okay, I'm not discouraging you, but what I'm trying to say is that you may not want to put your focus in money, because if you put your focus in money, or if money is your focus, the reality is that you get the money, but you get stuck somewhere, which is one of the milestones. Where you get stuck is supposed to be one of your milestones, but you may think that is your end goal. So that is something I think I need to clear before we proceed. So, and I think I've shared a little bit of my story, so I will just go ahead and skip that. So, and I will skip this as well because of time and focus on, different career paths you can take. So, like I started, or what I said that there are lots of career paths you can take, or tech career paths you can focus on. So, on this call, they are not, or most of the participants here may not even be interested in programming. You just want to do this because you think that is where you can secure a job. So what I'm here to tell you is that it's not compulsory you must be a programmer. It's not compulsory you must know all these stacks. There are a lot of tech, there are a lot of career paths you could pick up, and one of them is being a quality assurance engineer, or a QA, or a quality assurance specialist. So what does that mean? If you find yourself being, one of those people who will say, I went to a wedding, the groom wasn't so cute, the bride, the lipstick on the bride face was supposed to be fuchsia pink instead of ordinary pink. So if you find yourself who you derive pleasure in criticizing or finding of faults, then I think in quotes, the Lord is already ministering to you that you can actually be a quality assurance engineer, because the job you are here to the job that you are in an environment to, your job role basically is to analyze products that have been built, or softwares that have been built by software engineers, and look for faults, look for defects. If you can find defect, it means that you've done a good job. That does not mean that if you don't find this defect, you've not done a good job, or you are intentionally looking for the defect to put down an engineer. No, that is not the case. The case is that you are ensuring that that the application is working well. There are no bugs. There are no security loopholes. There are no. It can test. It can it can pass the test of time, irrespective of the environment that product is shipped to or that product is deployed. So your job is to ensure that there are no issues, or there are less issues in a product before that product goes or before it is shipped to the customers. Like where I work in Wema Bank, before we release products or we upgrade our application, the Alert app, once every month. So before that goes to live, or before it goes to App Store, a quality assurance engineer has run their various quality assurance tests. They're giving kickbacks to the engineer to update, and they have signed off that everything is fine for this particular build before that software is deployed. So that's what the quality assurance engineer is. So the good news is that there are a lot of tools you can use, and also there are a lot of free videos online, or a little bit of you can pay some little stipend on the Udemy to see what a quality assurance, who they are, as well as the tools that they use and how to use those tools. And where I work, we still recruit quality assurance. In fact, quality assurance plays a major role in software development process. So they are the DevOps engineers. What they do basically is to deploy an application, set up the environment where they deploy. So there might be some of you here who you've been into networking in the past. What advice those individuals who were into networking, Cisco networking, wide area networking, local area networking, I advise them to move into DevOps, because that is what DevOps almost looks like. So it's more of handling infrastructures on the cloud rather than locally, and also be able to ship or deploy these products or these softwares that have been built by a software engineer. So there are other parts that has to do with project management or project manager, program manager, product owner, and product management. So these are career paths that can be chosen by anyone on this call. If you are not really a tech person, or you don't really want to be a tech person, as you don't want those tech jargons, then you can pick the role of one of these. Although you find yourself, still speaking in those jargons in code, but this is an easier part for you to come into. And there are some courses online you can take. For instance, Scrum is one. Six Sigma is another one. You can take these courses so that you can easily navigate through the route of a project, program, or product managers. And as I speak with you, I think the request for product owners are kind of more than software engineers in Nigeria and in the UK as I speak with you. So the job of a project manager is to ensure that the project works. You can say that we want to build a product. What will be the benefit of the product? What's the timeline of the product, and what are the resources, people, and finance of the product? Then the job of a product owner or product manager is basically the focus on the products that needs to be built. Let's say WhatsApp is one of them. For WhatsApp to be able to take video calls, take voice calls, send text, view images, send images, those are products, those are features in WhatsApp as a product. So as a product owner or product manager, you can focus on a single product and then learn some courses that can help you, guide you towards what you are looking for in a product, and as well as build what they call user stories or documentations that the software engineer can use to build the product. Then you also validate to be sure that everything you've identified in your document, the software engineer actually covered them. So once those have been covered, then you can say you have a good product. Then we have product designers or UI UX engineers. Their job is to design the look and feel of a product before the programmers start building it. What it means is that they build something more of like a blueprint. Okay, they build a blueprint of how the software should look and feel. So what they build is not the real thing. So product designers or UI UX engineers, they work closely with product owners, product managers, and project managers to ensure that, okay, this is the product we want to design. Does it answer the question? This is the way it's going to look like. If they have approved the design as well as the documentation, then they can move that design and the documentations to the software engineers. So there's also a career path or a role called a Scrum Master. The job of a Scrum Master is to organize the team, estimate the timeline of a product that needs to be built. So a project manager can say that this is the timeline of the product, but the job of the Scrum Master is to assemble the team that needs to build this product. Then they will analyze the product, look at the features that needs to be built, and estimate how long it should be built. And the Scrum Master also ensure that the product is developed within that estimated timeline, in which in the Scrum term they call it sprints. They ensure that a product is being delivered within that sprint, within that sprint or the product timeline or the product development timeline, and they ensure that the engineers or the software engineers, they have everything they want to be successful. Okay, then there's also the role of tech recruiters, and I think one of my colleagues here is a tech recruiter, and he has given you most of what a tech recruiter does. Although when he said some things about different stack, how you have to be good in this and that, I just imagine that some of the non-tech people on this call who are interested in recruiting, they may get a little bit scared. But just to encourage you, in my environment where I work, although in some other environment, the tech recruiter need to be techie. I think I've interviewed with Amazon. I've also worked with Andela in the past, and the tech recruiters, they know their stuff. However, I'm not saying where I work, my tech recruiters don't know their stuff. But what I'm saying is that they have very good relationship with who we call the hiring manager in quotes. So the hiring manager is more of like a team lead, a tech lead, or the engineering manager of a particular unit, and they are the one that requests that, hey, we need somebody, or someone resigned and we need somebody to come fit in, or somebody to come replace that particular engineer, or maybe a resource person who resigned. So the hiring manager then prepares the requirements, and everything, or the profile of that role, and he sends it to the tech recruiter. So where I work, we just want the tech recruiter to do first level due diligence, ensure that this person claims he has all these requirements, or 70% or 65% of these requirements we have put in. This person has graduated, this person has served, they are proof of, certificate and all that, because according to CBN policy, you must have served and you must, have schooled before we can employ you. So his job is just to ensure that all those things are there. The person, claim to be the person is who he claimed to be. Then he hand over the person to us. So because he is a tech recruiter, when we are assessing the candidate, when I mean we the hiring managers, when we are assessing the candidate, the tech recruiter is there. He or she also learns the kind of question we ask, and they can help us ask those questions, to other candidates that they refer to us. Then they also monitor the body language of the candidates that we recruit, that we are interviewing, to be sure that one, there's some level of confidence in the things he claims he has done, or in the things he claims that he's doing. And also he monitors attitude, because there's some questions we may ask and they may feel uncomfortable with it. Like, the millennials, though I'm a millennial, despite, but the millennials, they do not want to come to the office every day. They want to work remotely. So sometimes when we throw it out there to them that this is not this is not a full-time role, and this is not a remote role, it's a full-time. By default, you're expected to come to the office every day, but we know how we manage things ourselves. So sometimes we miss it, but the tech recruiter sees the attitude that they put up in their facial expression, or maybe in the way, in the tone of their voice, or, they are the professionals, so they know how to pick all these, red flags and notify us that this person can proceed with us or not. Okay, then that's for the different career paths. However, before you can start, you need to ask yourself, who are you? What do you want to be? And where do you find yourself? And I always tell people that before you take up any role, ask yourself, why should I take this role? And as a Nigerian, the first thing that will come to your mind is that in this session, it was advertised that it is the new oil. Therefore, you need oil money. But please, this is what I tell people when you want to start with why. Ask yourself, if you were to be the replacement of Queen Elizabeth, which means the King of England, would you still go ahead to pick up this career just for fun? If the answer is yes, then feel free to go ahead with it. If the answer is no, you are doing it because of the money, then I tell you that you'll be frustrated at the end of the day. So sometimes you may not really know what your why is, because there are some people that I struggle to mentor. They will tell me they want to be this today. We've started the process. But next thing, as they will say they want to be a product owner, or they want to be a software engineer. But the next thing, they will tell me that they want to add me as a reference in a job that is customer care. And I feel like, but the conversation we started was on product owner. We are supposed to focus on that. What are you doing as a customer care representative? Where I'm driving at is that it means that you do not understand the why you wanted to be a product owner. So those are the things that you need to identify before you take up a role in tech. Then you need to think or have critical thinking, and and follow people who think critically. And one of them is Simon Sinek, which is one of my mentors. And he is the writer of the Start With Why book. So you may go online to purchase or download his audio book. I'm not really good with reading of books. I prefer videos or audio. So I downloaded his audio book, and that was what I listened to know my why I am doing something. Then there's also you also need to have something they call the infinite mindset, meaning that you are not going into a particular career path because you want to win. You are going into that career path because you want it to be interesting. So let me repeat myself, and let me replace the word career path with game. For those who are gamers or who love playing games, I don't go to play a game because I want to win. I don't care who wins. However, I go to play the game so that the game will be tough for my opponents, and at the end of the day, we will have a seamless and interesting experience. Even if I lose, I know I enjoyed myself. So whatever I do It is something I know I love doing, and I want to put in all my best because I want to have the most fun from it. So that is called the infinite mindset. And Simon Sinek also has a book called The Infinite Mindset. So you may want to look it up and see to understand what I'm saying. Then also I play what they call the long-term game. What that means is that sometimes I play to lose because I want to win 5 years later or 3 years later. What that means is that when I started as a software engineer, I went to volunteer. Or when I came to Lagos at first, I knew nobody, so I went to volunteer. From volunteering, I gave my best. I was not collecting anything. But hey, I gained experience. And when I got another job, that place I volunteered, I said, no, sorry, please don't move. Let me give you let's pay you. That is one. Then secondly, I got an offer with Stanbic IBTC last month. I was supposed to start with them September 1st. But the reality is that I went through that interview process, not because I want to work with Stanbic, but because of the long-term game. So when I got the offer, I went to submit the offer with, my HR as well as, some of the executive of Wema Bank. And they said, Samuel, you are going nowhere. How much are those guys offering you? Don't worry, for you to pass the interview, it means you've earned it. Come, let's pay you what they offered you. So that is a long-term game. You play a game because you're not thinking of winning now, you're thinking of winning in the future. So you play the game and you can lose. No problem, it's fine, you lose. But you know that you are playing that game so that later in the future you win. Okay. So, and then to learn more about long-term game, you need to look up Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek. So these are two guys you can follow on LinkedIn and also follow their video. Watch their video. They are very, very educative and they are very informative. Okay, so and I also tell people, especially those who are religious, that there is a difference between the mindset of a business or the mindset of the business versus unmerited favor. The reality is that I can only employ somebody that will bring value to my business, not because one pastor or prophet said that there's somebody this week that is going to get an unmerited favor, and you think you can come to my to pass my interview. We go for the best person, or we go for somebody I saw passion in. So that sometimes I will hire, but I'm not hiring you because you're the best candidate. You might be the best, but have an attitude, but you might not even know half of what I want or quarter of what I want. However, I've seen that you have that passion and you are willing to learn and grow. I prefer, individuals who are willing to learn and grow rather than more experienced people who has an attitude. So I focus on soft skill rather than core skill. Meaning I focus on attitude, the mindset, rather than even the skill you come here to give. Okay, so what is next now? What's next is that you have to intentionally grow. One of my colleagues spoke about growth study. You have to intentionally grow and take responsibility of all your actions. Take responsibility of where you want to be. You are leaving this course. You are not leaving this course because you've heard all this. Pick a career path. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Reach out to people to say, this is what I'm doing. In fact, don't come to meet me to tell me this is what you're doing, what you want to do. Tell me this is what you have started. This is where you are, and this is where you got stuck. Then I can tell you that, okay, this was what I did in my past. My experience might not be your solution, but try this or try that so I can move to the next stage. Then go to LinkedIn, gain connections on LinkedIn. And from connections, you see people's comments, you see people's posts. Then you like it, you subscribe, you share, you also argue. Most of my HR friends I have today is because sometimes I do not agree with the posts they've made on LinkedIn. But when we argue at first, we end up agreeing on something, either my idea or his or an idea, and we become friends. And next thing they say is that, hey, Samuel, can you come join us so that I love your mindset? I need you to come, manage my team of engineers. So get connection, interact with people. Don't go and be sending people DM. I get that a lot. Hello, sir, please, I want you to be my mentor. It's okay, no problem. I will ask you, how do we go on from here? You tell you, the next thing you say is that, okay, this is what I want to do. Then I give you some assignments. Then the person comes in to say that, please, I want you to know that I know this, and this. So if your company is looking for, if there's a placement in the company, I'm interested, sir. Then the next thing I ask them is that, are you here for mentorship, or you are looking for a job? Then at the end of the day, I found out that they are looking for a job. Then I tell you that LinkedIn has job section. Go to the job section if you need a job. Don't meet me for a job. I should know from what you have done to recommend you for a job. And that is where internship also comes. Some of you may want to intern for free or for some little pay with some organization so that you can gain skill, gain trust, gain favor from the people you serve. And with that, they can recommend you for better position, or you can be able to sit in an interview with me and tell me the things you have achieved there, even as an intern. And what I look at, next thing I will ask is, how much are you being paid? Okay, if I pay you times 3 of what you are earning, are you ready to move from that environment to my environment? And that is how we move on. So there's also the art of service. What that means is that you need to be able to work with a giving mindset, not with a taking mindset. So, for instance, when I get a job and somebody asks me what is my expected salary, what I say is that whatever value I give to you is something I know that I will give you times 2 of that value, meaning that I don't think any environment can actually pay me what I want, because I know that whatever you pay me, I'm giving you times 2 of that value. Because like I used to tell people, I start my work 10 a.m., but I have no closing time. Before this call, I was on a meeting solving some issues or creating processes that could make our environment work better before I joined this call. So you need to move with the art of service, or with the giving mindset. And hey, there's fulfillment when you give. There's fulfillment when you give. So then there are times that you might be disappointed. You picked a role, you started, you did not get the desired result. But if you look clearly, you will see the opportunities in those disappointments. I got a job with Chevron, but after a while, I was asked to leave because my Niger Delta brothers were not. We were not. The cost oil and the cost. How am I going to put this now? As in, Chevron was no longer making money, so they had to start dropping some staff or some contract staff, and I was one of the persons that they dropped, not because I was from the Niger Delta, but because they could no longer afford to pay some people. They dropped a lot of people, and I was part of them. But guess what? The fact that I was dropped in Chevron, and for the fact that I have Chevron in my CV, gave me that advantage in any interview I go to. Once they see Chevron, the first thing they just go to is, what is your salary expectation before I start interviewing you? And the next job I got after Chevron was as a deputy manager, despite I was just, nothing more than an entry-level software engineer. So if you look clearly in disappointment, there are opportunities for you to find. So after that, the next thing you need to do is, you've listened to us, you've heard us. So please feel free to choose your destiny, choose your career path, and decide where you want to be and who you want to be, as well as where you want to be. So thank you, and that is all I have to say regarding how to choose the career path. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Samuel. That was really, really enlightening. Thank you for taking us through the different career paths in tech, what to do, and expectations you should have, and also knowing that nothing good comes easy, and easy. As Amade Dayo said, you have to be determined, and as Tabitha also said, if you reiterated, you have to know exactly what you want to do. Thank you so much for the charge. Thank you for taking us through that. And just before we go on to ask our other facilitators more questions, our last speaker, we are to have 4 speakers for this session. So we had 2 people join us at the worship because to benefit her, she had a meeting earlier, so she couldn't join at the beginning. And so we have Madiya Oduwole with us. Yes, Madiya Oduwole. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thanks for doing this with Career Life Nigeria. When you were not around, I said I didn't want to read your profile behind you, that I'll do that when you come in. So Madiya is an adept machine learning engineer. She's an ML engineer. She's a strong machine learning research enthusiast with a knack for natural language processing. She is and has been involved in varieties of ML subfields, including ML research, ML engineering, data science, data analytics, and business intelligence. Madia is big on community meetup facilitation, community mentorship, and passionate about helping tech communities to gain their feet. And this is true because she's the group head, if I'm right, Madia, for She Code Africa Data Ladies. Am I right? Because that was where I met you and I told you about this session. Is that true? Yes.
Yeah, the title is co-technical lead. So it's more than being a group head. It's like helping people in technically in data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. It's a co-technical lead.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And apart from tech, she also Madia has a life outside of tech, and she made me understand that she likes watching lifestyle vlogs on YouTube, and she likes to always check on her loved ones. I think you should take a bit from her. And if you're not so good with like checking on people, you should do that. And she's also passionate about paying attention to her mental health. Thank you again, Madia, for joining us. And before you joined, of course, we introduced all of the speakers, and they gave us a bit of background into their individual journeys in tech, how they started their journey in tech. So I want you to also tell us how you began your journey in tech. How did you begin?
Okay, my story is not that aspire to perspire kind of story that everybody would want to hear, but here's how I began. In 2019, I was in UI then. I was studying education and chemistry. Then I had this friend. I have this friend. We are still friends. Ayo. Right from when we entered school, we knew we didn't want to do education. We wanted something computer science related. But what it was is what we could not figure out. How to start, we could not figure it out. We were just like optimistic that opportunities will come. So in 2019, she invited me for a conference at Yaba. I think the conference then was called Tech Money. Then we went there, people were talking about front end, back end, data analysis, and the likes. People were getting clarity on what to do, how to do it, and all. That was like the first time I came across the word data analysis. And my friend actually talked about it with some of the speakers. She was like, she's interested, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But me, I didn't know what data analysis was. I didn't know how to get started. I just like took the name out of there and I left. So 2020, then I found out that Data Scientist Network were hosting a free bootcamp for people that wanted to get started in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Then I made my research. I found out that, oh, this thing is like kind of related to data analysis, even though most of the concepts I was seeing then was ambiguous, but I just felt like, let me go for this thing. Then I went. At the end of the 6 weeks, COVID came. We left school, we came back home, and I just started like exploring different fields of tech because as at then I already met more people who were into tech. I already have like some basic idea of stuff. There were people I could ask stuff. So I was exploring different fields. I tried front end, did a bit of back end. Then after a while, I just said, let me just go back to my data. I don't think I enjoy anyone as much as I enjoy data. So 2021, I went back into data full time, and towards the end of 2021, I found out that, oh, okay, because I got an internship. I got an internship mid 2021, and it was the job role was a junior data scientist. But what I was doing at that internship was basically the job of an ML engineer. Then I found out that, oh, I think I just like this career path, and I will stick with it. So that's it for me. Something like really straightforward. Like things just like fell into place for me. It's not the aspire to aspire kind of transitioning into tech story.
Oh, thank you so much. Interesting one. Thank you. What would you tell us? What's like a typical day for a machine learning engineer that you are? What does your job role consist of, and what's like a typical day for you?
Oh, okay. So for machine learning engineers, I say this like the job roles, it differs from companies to companies because machine learning engineers sometimes are luxuries some companies can't afford. So you get to do as a machine learning engineer, you might have to do machine learning back end and maybe a bit of DevOps and a bit of what's it called? data engineering. Yes, data engineering. But for me and my company, because we have people that do all these stuff, so the only time I get to do more than machine learning is maybe I have to like create an API for my model for an audience demo, or maybe like the model, they want a demo, they want to see how it works before they integrate it with the software. Then I might have to do a bit of Flask. So it is basically, it is more or less deep learning for me. Then deep learning with software engineering skills. I have to like use deep learning frameworks, PyTorch, TensorFlow, to build business solutions, because my company is an enterprise company. So we build business solutions. So that's it for me. Just like come, take my data, mostly unstructured, take my unstructured data, go and pre-process, go and clean, then train it on a large model, then I'll come optimize, do the hyperparameter tuning and all of that stuff to ensure that the model is working how we want it to work. And if we're still not getting the desired results, I have to make research, because as machine learning engineers, you have to read. No, it's not like read school books. I just believe that sometimes our solutions are not on Stack Overflow. Not because Stack Overflow is not good enough. It's just that the problem you have, it might be due to dependency. Somebody else has not had it before or something. Most solutions are on Stack Overflow, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you just have to go and read books, sometimes research paper, sometimes you just have to understand some concepts. Because if my boss, for example, asks me, oh Maria, this thing that you did here, how does it work, or how does it affect this, or how does it improve this? Because for me, my CTO is a very technical person. He did machine learning in the days of coding your machine learning by yourself, and not now that we're doing frameworks. So if you do not understand something and you do it and he asks you about it, it's like a dent on your own image. So you have to like go make your findings and all of that. But for me, a day in my life is building models, optimizing it, dealing with bugs, making research on how to make it better, and maybe building an endpoint so that it can be tested.
Oh, thank you so much, Madia. I have a question for Tabitha. I want to ask Tabitha what the responsibilities a community manager is tasked with. But before I go to Tabitha, I want to ask you, Madia. You told us your story. Now that your story, as you said, is not a aspire to Perspire to Maguire Perspire, I'd want to know, is tech meant for anyone? Can anyone go into tech?
So basically, I feel like tech is like anyone is relative. Well, when it comes to me, I feel like a lot of things are relative, because anyone to me means even somebody who has never operated a computer, even somebody who basically the person has to know how to read and write. Like that's it. But as long as you can read and write, I believe like tech is for you, because tech is not, it's not exactly hard. It is draining mentally. I will not tell you it is not draining. I will not tell you it's like the easiest part. But tech is not exactly hard if you put your mind to it and if you are hungry for growth and development. If you are doing tech because everybody is doing tech, or because of the money, I don't think doing tech for the money is a bad idea though. But I'm just saying that you have to be hungry for growth to be able to like do tech. So no matter where you're starting from, even if you're struggling, some people it might take 2 years for some people to get to a particular place, and it will take you 3 years, or you're making progress regardless. And I feel like that's like what matters the most, because by the time you look at it in future, the person that took 2 years to get to a particular place and you took 3 years, it might take the person 3 years to cross to the next point and you take 2 years. So it's not like there's a pattern to how you should live your life or how career should be. So if you can read and write, whether you can operate a computer or not, you should be able to you should get into tech, because you would learn how to do this thing. When I was younger, I would not even lie that I didn't have access to a laptop. I had access to a laptop, but I'm not the movie kind of person. I'm not the kind of person that likes pressing laptop and all of that. So I didn't use it. I can type on a laptop, but I was very slow. Apart from knowing how to type, I maybe open Excel to look at spreadsheets and maybe do some basic functions that were taught in secondary school on Excel. I don't think I could do any other thing on a laptop. But when I started tech, it took like, when I first started, I was very slow. But in about 2-3 months, because I was very consistent, I became very used to it. And when people say they don't know how to use a laptop, can they get into tech? And I'm like, I could barely use a laptop when I started. To be like, that's a lie. See how you're operating it now. So practice makes perfect, basically. So you just have to start, and then you will learn how to operate the laptop and some other things that are necessary on the job.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, my dear. So now I'll cross to Tabitha. I'd want to know, what are the responsibilities that a community manager in tech is tasked with? What's like a day in tech, if you're asked, like community manager Tabi, what's a day for you like?
Okay, so for community manager, the most important thing to understand first is that the role depends with the organization you are in. It depends because community is defined differently in different places. Like for instance, in my case, I mean for our school, I'm dealing with students, so I get to manage students, and the students are a community. So, and a community manager in another space would do different things, but one thing that is common in all community managers is the fact that we get to deal with people, and dealing with people involves things like communicating, like whether you're sharing updates with people, whether you're making official communications via emails, you're representing your brand, and maybe in talks, speaking about a particular thing, in different forums. So I think the center of community actually is people. So now, if you now get to the different types of community manager, or depending on the different organizations that we have, then the role is defined differently. Yeah. So what I do as a community manager for All School may be not the same thing that a community manager at maybe Talent Here will do. You understand? Because the audiences are different and varied. But for me personally, I get to deal with students, and my major job is to ensure that the students have a smooth learning experience. So finding ways of engaging the students on Slack, facilitating sessions like this that we have here. This is part of community, and yeah, communicating with them and just making sure that whatever issues that they have been responded to or have been resolved.
Thank you so much, Tabitha. Let me cross over to Adedayo, our technical recruiter on this call. We already discussed what is needed if you want to break into tech, and Tabitha already said you have to know what you want to do. And you mentioned that you need decision, you need to be determined, as determination will form the process for you. And Samuel took us to different paths in tech, different career paths in tech, and what you need to do. So I want to ask now, and I asked Madi, any can go into tech, and Madia, but so long you are interested, you can do it around Adedayo. Are there transferable skills that one can bring into tech? Let's say you're transitioning from another career into tech. What are transferable skills that this person that anyone can bring into tech, and that person will still be able to perform well? Transferable skills make someone perform well in the role in tech, in any part at all in tech.
All right. Thank you for that question. Yes, there are transferable skills. Take for instance, I, as a technical recruiter, I could also double as a technical writer. So, technical writer, pretty much someone who has been like, okay, probably before now, maybe I didn't mention from the start, I used to be a writer, like an articleist, pretty much. And I love writing, and just that over time, I just discovered that, okay, I'm not a writer of books, but all I do is I just write articles. That's what I do. So you can, of course, here I am into technical recruiting. ability to just, sometimes you get to work on some certain rules whereby you don't have a job description. You have to write the JD. You have to come up with a job description for that role. And at that moment, what you just have to work with is just something like they call it person specification, your ideal kind of person. So you're able to write down some things and a JD, which if I've not been writing or I don't have any skill in that, I don't think I will. Yes, some people say we'll go online and get the JD, but from all I just need to do, I just need to listen to you. Then I'm able to come up with something for you that you would love. Then also we talk about someone who happens to be an SEO analyst, search engine optimization, or content writer as well. Take for instance, you have the likes of Tech Cabal, you have the likes of TechCrunch, Tech Mahindra, and some other tech blog, tech media writers and tech that are into all of these things. So you could pretty much be a writer. You could be either a writer for them or you could be a designer, just like my colleague mentioned, product designer. So you can, from there, from being just a UI UX designer, you could migrate into a full-time product designer, like someone who is into graphics, like a typical graphic designer out there can become a product designer. So these are skills that you've had over time that you can migrate in tech. So even as I it's very, very interesting to know that even Sam, as he is, I could say he's a technical recruiter, because he's into software engineering, but he understood all what a recruiter might be looking out for. So is on the other hand, you can call him a technical recruiter, even though he mentioned he's a people operation manager. So it's like also a recruiter as well. So these are skills that are transferable.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adedayo. Oh, I hope I did not cut you short, Adedayo.
No, I was done talking at that moment, so I was just I'm done talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Discussing transferable skills now. You're the tech recruiter, right? And you said Samuel can also pass for a tech recruiter. So now that we're talking
of course, he is. And hello, I don't know, can you hear me?
Samuel mentioned. I can hear you.
Yeah, over time, most of the people, I think the likes of the Andelas, when they started, for you to, I think one of the criteria for you to be a technical recruiter, you must have been probably a software engineer. For you to become, like most of the software engineers, they tend to transition them into being a recruiter as well, technical recruitment. So it's not just a one-way thing. It's either you have when the moment you are into this sector, you're into this tech environment, you are able to learn one or two skills, and either you become someone like, take for instance, like what I'm trying to Madia mention, as a machine learning engineer. I'm sure someone like that could also double as a data analyst, business analyst as well. So all of these things are skills that are transferable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adedayo. So I was saying before that now that we're talking about transferable skills, is it safe for me to say that the person Samuel mentioned earlier, who initially began his career as a product owner, now wanting to move as a customer service agent, can we say it's going to transfer the skills from tech to customer support? So we should be happy on his behalf, and maybe we can send virtually person wherever he or she might be that, in which that person is very best while we are active. Okay, so I have one last question for the facilitators before you can give us your final words. Yeah, but before I ask my final question, a participant sent a question to me. I'm going to read it out. Okay, this question is for Samuel. The person said she didn't really understand what a product designer does. Like when you were explaining the slides and then you mentioned the product designer. So anyone can go for this and answer the question. What does a product designer, what does a product designer do?
Okay, thank you very much. The product designer is like a little bit the next level of a UI UX engineer, or a UI UX engineer can claim to be a product designer. So what that means is that let's say WhatsApp is a product, okay? I'm just breaking it down. Let's say WhatsApp is a product, okay? And we want to propose WhatsApp to Facebook, which is now Meta. We want to propose it as a product to them. We want to propose it as a product to them to say, hey, as a project manager or a product owner has this idea and they want to push it to the customers. So you can't just go to a meeting, with words and black and white plain text or some few diagrams or some flow charts saying describing the flow of the program. Some people are not tech savvy. In fact, the business in quote, which is the company, the executive management, the board of directors, they don't have time to read these documents. They want to see and feel something, okay? So that is where a product designer comes in. So what a product designer does is that WhatsApp application that you install on your phone, it will design something exactly like it, something that works like WhatsApp end to end. The difference is that it's more like graphics, but it's not graphics. But let me put it this way: it's like an interactive design where no code is written, no software engineer is needed. You just put in some graphical user interface, some design together, and this design can navigate from each other. For instance, if you dial on call or you dial on somebody's name, you should bring out a name. You can tap that name, and it will display as if it is calling the person. But in the actual sense, it's not really calling anybody. But it shows a user representation or a graphical representation on how the entire software is supposed to be. So there are tools you can use to build this designs, or this user interface, or we call it user experience design. Okay, there are tools you can use to build it, and these tools are there is Figma, there's I think Adobe XD. You can use them to build this we call it blueprint, a blueprint of a software. But to me, it's more than blueprint, because you are building the actual thing, meaning that you can use it for a demo, you can show it to the customer that whatever we will design at the end of the day, or you can show it to the business, let me put it that way, that whatever we will design at the end of the day will be nothing different from what you are seeing. The difference is that it is not just the actual thing. But a lot of people who are not tech savvy may think it is the actual thing, but it's not the actual thing. The good news is that you're not writing any computer code. You are doing a lot of drag and dropping, but you need to be familiar with the tools used to build, these designs. So that is the job responsibility from a high level of a product designer. So if we have some product designers here or some UX engineers here, which means user experience engineer here, they will tell me that, hey, bros, this is not the only thing we do, because some of them will tell me that they conduct research, meaning before they start a product, sometimes they go to the market, they send questionnaires to people to tell whether they're interested in that product or not. They do way more than that, but that is just the high level of what product designers or user experience engineers in my environment, what they do. Thank you. So
thank you so very
if
much.
I'm not too clear, you can just let me know what else you want to, what you think I should focus on. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. So because of time, I wouldn't want to keep everyone longer than necessary. The facilitators will give out their handles, that they want to give out, so that participants can connect with them and ask their other questions. I still have more questions, but I'm just going to ask one of the questions I have from participants and ask a final question as well for me. So two more questions, and then the participants can give their final words on this call for the purpose of this section. And this person is asking, Samuel is asking you, does a quality assurance engineer need to learn how to code, or the quality assurance engineer's code is it needed?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Does a quality assurance engineer needs to do what?
Code.
No, they don't code. Why should you code? You don't code. You just tools. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you just learn some tools using in assuring the quality of the software. You don't write codes. In fact, most of the job are done by the software engineer. For instance, if you say you are a senior software engineer, I said you need to know backend, you need to know front end, you need to know DevOps. In your backend code, you also need to write what they call tests. Okay, you need to write unit tests and integration tests. You need to write those two things, meaning that quality assurance engineers should not bother about writing code, because it is expected that the software engineers had already written unit tests and integration tests in their application or in their software. So your job is to, in fact, let me give you an example. Let's say I build a software, I deploy it, okay? One of your responsibility is to simulate as if 100 million requests came to my software at the same time and see how many requests is successful and how many fails. I don't know if you get me. So that is a sample of what you do. So there are tools you can use for that. I think Postman is one of the tools, but there are a lot of tools you can use. So what I would recommend is just go to Udemy, search for quality assurance courses, take one of them. Okay, take one of them. Also, go to LinkedIn, connect to other quality assurance engineers and ask them the tools they use. But to answer your question, no, you don't write code. You don't write code. From my experience, none of the quality assurance engineers in my environment do write code. Write code care. Make the Congo push Wahala enter production. And next thing you see is everyone on this call just start receiving 1 million naira per minute or per second. No, we don't do that. They don't write code. All right, thank you.
We won't mind the 1 million naira per minute, so I wouldn't mind. Thank you very much. Yes, Madia, yes. Okay, so I have one final question for all of the facilitators, and we'll call it a wrap. So now I was made to understand that there's a distinct difference between role models and mentors in one of our previous sessions. And like a role model is like someone you look up to, but from afar, like someone who you like you can follow them on their socials. You can always like maybe wanna be Beyonce, wanna be Tabitha, wanna be Madia, or maybe wanna be Adedayo, or you wanna be Samuel. Those ones are just like role models, like people just look up to, but maybe from afar, you don't really have like a close relationship with them. And then a mentor is like someone who intentionally guides you, lets you know what and what not to do, and is interested in your success, whether physically, career-wise, spiritually. Depending on what you want, this person is intentional about your growth. So now I would want to know, I would want to ask for the sake of those on this call, so that we are all enlightened. For someone who is building a career in tech, building a network of professionals in tech, do you think a role model would suffice, or they should get a mentor? What do you think? I'll start with Madia, and after Madia, we move to Kenya. We hear from Tabitha, and then after Tabitha, we go to Ade, Diana, Ade, Samuel. All right, Madia, over to you. Did you get the question?
Yes, I did. I got the question. So for me, having a mentor, there are some people that do not learn under one-on-one like setting, when it's just when it's just them and the mentor, they learn in like group. I have a friend who does not do the mentor stuff, doesn't like have a mentor, and he has made like reasonable progress in his career. So basically, this is how I believe it should be. As you said, a role model is somebody you look up to from afar. So for me, people that I look up to, people that are like my role model, are people that I admire a particular section of their life, and maybe I feel like, oh, from what I can see or from what I know, it will feel good to be in this person's position. Maybe let's say, for example, now the city of my company is my role model, and then, oh, from what I can see from afar, from what he's doing, it will feel good to like be in charge of like the technology department of the company. So it could be my role model. Well, is it compulsory to have like a mentor to make progress in tech? Whether you want to have a mentor, whether you don't want to have a mentor, it is your decision. But what me I would say is, regardless of having a mentor or not, be part of community that are streamlined to what you do. So basically, if you have a mentor, good for you, works for you. Mentor will answer personalized questions for you. Mentor would help you like discover yourself, pay more attention to you, and all of that. But if you do not want to have a mentor, have be part of communities. Whether you want to have a mentor or not, be part of communities. For example, you want to be a data scientist or a machine learning engineer, be part of communities are that do AI, that do data science, that do artificial intelligence, communities like data scientist network, or maybe communities that have a section that do AI, like Shikode Africa now, they have data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning section in their community. I'm not saying being part of like broad communities like Oscar Fest. Oscar Fest is actually a nice community to be for open source, but you cannot contribute to open source without having an area of specialization. Even if it is the non-code part of tech, you have to be doing something to contribute to open source. So I don't want to use the statement board of directors, but I'll use it. So have like board of directors if you're not having a mentor. If it's not a community, if it's not a mentor, have board of directors. People that are accessible to you. People that when you're looking at that, oh, okay, I've gotten to this stage in my career, I need to get to the next stage. What do I do? I believe I should do this, but it's not looking like I should actually do this. It's looking like I have to do more. So if you have people that you can always walk up to, people that you can always text to reply, my people on LinkedIn, you might never have to have their phone number. It might just be that you text them today, tell them whatever you want to tell them, they give you advice, go back in 2 months, like give updates, and then you don't talk to them for like next 3, 4, 6 months till you need help again, and then you go and meet them. So it just depends on what works for you basically. But I feel like guidance is important in tech because tech is very vast. You can miss road while trying to find your way. So and there are times that you would actually miss road and you will know that you've missed road, but where do I go from here? How do I go from here? That's questions like that can be asked. You can ask your mentor, you can ask on communities, and you can ask your board of directors. So that will just like maybe fasten your process, but it will not give you the opportunity, or it will not let you waste so much time figuring stuff out, because you'll be asking people that have gone through that process, and they'll be like telling you from experience. And even though what they tell you, you don't have to follow it, you just pick what's useful for you. I believe that listening to them, hearing from them, gives you insight on like what to do next, instead of being lost and hoping for a revelation from somewhere. So that's it from my end.
Thank you so much, Nadia. So we'll listen to Tabitha's views on this. What do you think, Tabitha?
Um, sorry, you called me, right? Amy, can anyone hear me?
Okay, let's. Oh yes, Tabitha, we can hear you.
Okay. So about the mentorship, I mean, I absolutely agree with what Madia said. Because personally, I don't know if I've ever had like a direct mentor personally. It's more of, looking up to some people from afar. So I think, what we call role models, just identifying that, oh, this person is doing the same thing as I'm doing. And, I can I just follow what they're doing. But I know there's always this pressure. I don't know if I can call it pressure. And many people always feel like, oh, I need to have a mentor to actually succeed. It's like you don't really have, because at the end of the day, it's your journey. I mean, I may have mentors, but if I don't put in the work on my own or define my own journey, then it's as good as someone that actually does not have a mentor. So at the end of the day, it's always you as a person, what you're willing to put in to get what you actually want to get or achieve for yourself. So you don't necessarily need to have them. It's good to have them. I mean, always having someone that can coach you. And these days, I've observed a trend where most people are not available these days now. People are like, oh, I'm too busy. Not everyone is available for mentorship, but I can answer a few questions if you have them, because it's also tasking for the person that is meant to mentor you, and they really cannot keep up on, like checking up on you every single time. So if you can find a mentor that has the time to mentor you, then that's fine. That's good. But then if you cannot, don't put too much pressure on yourself. I like that Madia mentioned about communities. You can be part of communities. You may not have a direct mentor, but being part of community gives you a sense of accountability, because there are people that have similar interests as you. So people get to share the challenges there. You get to see how they are resolved. You get to learn different things. I mean, even seeing other people doing well is enough inspiration, or people share different resources. So being part of communities, I would highly recommend or advocate for that. It's good. I mean, some of us have really grown to where we are now because of being part of communities and benefiting from the networks that we have formed in these communities. Yeah, that's my take.
Thank you very much, Tabitha. So we move over to Adedayo. What's your view on this, please, on role model and mentorship?
Okay, thank you for that question. I would say most especially, it's very important to, like, as we grow in life, it's very important to have some certain figures who are to act as a guide. Definitely, yes, we can make decisions of our own, but it's now left for the individual, especially in this tech industry, to say, okay, I choose to follow what you're saying, your footprint, or I just want to just listen to you. That's all. I just enjoy listening to you. And as we know that, the essence of mentorship is supporting growth and development of the mentee. That's the essence of mentorship. And if you take, for instance, now, like a typical senior software engineer, just as Samuel, he has a lot of people who is mentoring. And those that is mentoring, the essence of having that kind of relationship is to, as a typical software engineer, sometimes you get stalked. Sometimes you're like, oh, how do I move from here? Like maybe you're writing codes and, you're doing some things and, bugs and all of these things. And you might need some chargeback and the likes. So someone like Samuel, who already has some set of persons or people who is mentoring, who are very close to him, like, oh, because he would definitely step in or just kind of like, okay, fine, I could do this for you. That's the essence of you having a mentor, to help you support your growth and your development. And teaching and wisdom, all of these things are what when I mean wisdom, like he advises you like, oh, why not try this model? Why not try this strategy? That's what I'm. But typically most times a lot of people ascribe mentors as their role model, even though the two of them, both role model and mentor, looks alike. A lot of people call their mentors their role model. Or why some people call role model describe role model as mentors. The role model, sometimes you don't, like someone mentioned some names of people. Those are his, who happens to be his own mentor. And to some persons, they are role model to them that they are just looking up to, like, I want to be like this person. Or I want to be like this person. I love the way this person was, he or she was able to transition over time. But as far as tech is concerned, there is no there's no permanent road that you must follow. Like this road, it's either you do it this way or nothing. there are a lot of, one thing in life is this: don't be static, just be dynamic, and you definitely get to your destination. What the role model also does, like they are also helpful, and being a role model, they are helpful, and based on their positive behavior. We have some people, some role models that some persons are following, and because of one or two things, they have some kind of stigma on their career, and people back up from them. So it all varies on what you as an individual, what do you want for yourself? Is it a role model, or you want a mentor? Someone who would either stay with you, maybe no matter how busy the individual is, but will always create out time for you. So I think on that note, I'll call it a day from my hand.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Adedayo, for giving us your view on that, explaining the need of a mentor, and also what a role model does. Thank you so much, Adedayo. So we'll hear from Samuel now. Samuel, what do you think? Or should I say mentor Samuel?
Okay, first I'll say that I agree with everyone who has spoken. And first, like I always say, start with why. Why do you want to do this? And when you are asking that question, please, I understand Nigeria is tough. If I've been in Nigeria makes you a great person, because you've gone through what a lot of what others have not really gone through in their country. But first, remove money as the reason why you want to do that. So ask yourself why. If you can't find your why, your mentor may not be able to find your why, and your mentor might end up being frustrated about you. I give that instance where somebody asked me to mentor her. She started as she said she wanted to be a product owner, but next thing we knew, she got somebody told her, send me your CV on a customer service, and she just moved to customer service, and she said that is where her calling is now. So that can be so frustrating and discouraging to a mentor. So first, know your why, know why you want to do that, and be confident in your why, irrespective of the hurdles along the way. So that is one. The secondly, the part of community, I totally support it. Be part of a community so that you can see what others have done, and also you can know that you can ask questions, and either people within the community or a random person can respond to your question. I was having a challenge, this week. I posted in one of my communities, and somebody responded, and hey, that person responded is even less than 2 years engineer, which is okay. Okay, so go ahead and join a community that can respond to your issues. However, be sensitive or be careful of the information you take. For instance, I can see, let me give one as an example about information you should be careful about. I've interviewed with Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and I think Netflix. Amazon, I've interviewed with Amazon like about 3 times, Facebook once, Microsoft twice, and I'm not yet there yet. They are not yet my employer. Okay. And in my community, I see people say, hey, help me, celebrate. I'm now a senior software engineer with Amazon. Hey, I'm now an engineering manager with Microsoft. So sometimes those things may get to you in those communities, but you need to be careful. It should inspire you more rather than make you feel as if, hey, you are not putting too much effort on your career. So be careful about the information you get. Some information might be true, some might not be true. Some might say that in my company this thing happened, make you feel as if your company where you're currently working is not really as good as theirs. But the truth is that when you move to that company, you may see otherwise. Then for role model, I think subconsciously we all have a role model, whether we want to deny it or not. We all do. And I would also say I have role models. There's one of them, Jimmy Diso, I listen to every morning. He's one of my role models, and I'm looking forward to meeting him. And I know I will meet him at least before maybe I finally, in quote, Jackpa out of Nigeria. Then for mentorship, mentorship is a relationship. When I mean relationship, I advise people to if you need to choose a mentor, choose somebody you believe is within your space, not someone who is afar, because mentorship is a relationship. So most of my mentors here in Nigeria, or those who used to be my mentor here in Nigeria in the past 5 years or 10 years ago, guess what? I am now their mentor. So that is a relationship. So it's expected that you should grow above your mentor, and then your mentor will start asking you for something. Some of the people I've mentored who have left this country and how they are doing things out there, they are now my mentor. Despite the fact that they just have 3 years experience or 4 years experience, they are now my mentor. Why? Because mentorship is a relationship. So don't go into a mentorship kind of relationship to take. It's an exchange. Okay, it's an exchange. So you might be in you might be in one industry, I might be in another industry, but I might be looking forward to joining your industry. I was mentoring you about my industry, but now I'm moving to your industry, so you become my mentor. So that mentor-mentee relationship should be strong. So it should be personal, it should not be official, it should be personal. So if you know this person cannot be your friend, then I think the person may not be your mentor. Okay, because it's only your friend that can call you, ask about you, and insist that you do what the person is asking you to do. The person can walk up to your home, and just insist that you get some things done. So that is what I would say about mentorship. However, irrespective of all I've said, ensure that you find your why, you do your research, you try a lot you believe you can do. You ask questions in different communities before taking that burden to your mentor. I think the job of your mentor is to help you when you fall and easily move you from one point to another without it being a burden on him. So I think that is just what I can say to conclude the question regarding mentorship and the role model and then community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this happen. And to round this up, I'm just going to take a final word from one of the ladies. Who is it going to be? Final word. Let's get from Tabitha. Any final word?
All right. Okay, hope you can hear me. All right, so final words. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so everyone has spoken about, like a lot of things, and all of them are very crucial, important. But for me, like one thing I always like to say, I always struggle saying one word. I speak a lot. So, but one thing I always like to tell people, especially if someone is starting out in tech or someone is just trying to figure out their journey, it is very important to identify what you want to do. It is very possible that you get to see many people. We have HRs here, community managers, different people, and you want to do everything. You want to do all these things, yeah? Or you feel like you need to do all these things because these people are in tech and you're looking up to them. So what I would say is it is very important to figure out what exactly works for you and what you want to do, and then work on skilling yourself along the lines of where your interests are. And then while you're still doing that, don't put too much pressure on yourself by comparing yourself to other people. And this is something that really happens a lot in the tech space, because you see someone that joined tech and you're like, they're doing well, or maybe they're earning a lot of money, and you're like, oh my God, I want to be like them. You're now stressed too much. You put unrealistic goals for yourself, and you don't even know how long this person actually works to even get to the point they are. And you're just starting out and you feel like, oh my God, I want to. So please don't compare yourself to other people. It is nice to look at what other people are doing. Use it as a way to motivate yourself to even do better, letting yourself know that you can actually do something because someone else hasn't been able to do it. But just don't, because there are people that follow other people and they're like, oh my God, I really want to do what this person is doing. And at the end of the day, you might find that you're wasting your time, or realize that whatever it is that they are doing, maybe it's not something that interests you. You don't even find joy in it at the end of the day. So find out what exactly you want to do. Don't compare yourself to other people. And please know that you will always have that feeling, imposter syndrome. I mean, that's like another story for another day, but that feeling of self-doubt, you'd always get it. You even for people like us that are already like working, even for me, like I'd say I'd like to be a community manager. But even when they told me to last start it professionally, because I was just doing it for voluntary work, when I was told to do it professionally, I felt like, oh my God, I think I'm not qualified. Even up to today, I always feel like I'm not doing my best. I feel like, what if they say that you're not doing a good job? So it's important to know that there's always that feeling. So if you have felt that way, you're not alone. So many of us go through it, especially everybody actually feels it. If you're starting out a new journey, if you want to apply for something, if you want to do anything, you will always have the feeling that it's telling you you cannot do it, or you feel like you're not qualified enough, you feel like you're not good enough for something, or if you actually got something, you feel like it's because of other reasons and not because of your own effort. Yeah. So when this feeling comes or these thoughts come, it is very important for you to remind yourself that you can actually do whatever it is. And if you feel like you cannot do something, and if the problem is the skill, then go ahead and get the skill so that you try and, overcome that feeling. It is always going to be there. So just find a way of getting past it, because if you dwell on that feeling, then it will stop you from progressing and even doing much. So I think I will pause and leave you guys with that. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Tabitha. Thank you so much for those closing words. But I do not still think we can end this call without hearing from Madia as well. I'm not a feminist, but we want to hear from Madia too. So Madia, any final words?
For me, my final words are going to be consistent, like consistency pay, like that's one. Then the second one is, at the early stage of your career, do not chase money. I had a friend in 2020 who told me this, when I think that year there was this, I think it was Forex crash that happened that year in like some parts of Nigeria. I don't know if some people are familiar with that gist that happened, and most of his savings got wiped. And when I was like, oh, how would you cope and all of that, it was like, by the time he will be needing such money, his knowledge box will be able to fill in to like get him that money. But for now, he just has to chase the knowledge. And at the time where I was very broke, because we are close, I was like, oh, I'm broke and I want to get a job. And I was like, oh no, don't get a job yet. Still continue learning and all of that. It's not yet time for the money to come. So basically, I know when we get to tech, when we hear tech, when we are doing tech, we want to like, oh, the new oil, we want to pack oil money. Everybody, you want to use your sweat and your blood to get money. But the truth is, tech is not a get rich quick scheme. And in as much as some people get jobs in 3 months, some people get jobs in 6 months, the truth is that some of these people, the pay they get is actually okay, standard. They were able to learn and get a job in a short period. Good for them. If it doesn't happen to you, it doesn't mean you are less of a tech person or you're going to have an horrible tech career. I just want you to know that when you are learning the skills, it's like really, really important to like pay attention and learn. And if it's like really bad that you need like money on the side, because I know that not everybody has it easy, not everybody has support. You can decide to go and freelance on platforms like Upwork. So maybe when you get small money that will last you for like 2 weeks, you can try to take the next 2 weeks off to learn, build personal projects and all of that till you finally be ready to get a job. And when do you start applying for jobs? Because I just said do not for money. So people might think that they have to know everything A to Z in tech before they start applying for jobs. Once you have standard projects, and once you meet 50 to 60% of job descriptions that you see, you can actually use job descriptions as learning part. Once you like tick some boxes there, you know that okay, you're making progress, you're beginning to have knowledge that are valuable to the job market. So I feel like that's the final word for me. Be consistent, and in everything you do, be hungry for knowledge. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much, Madia. Adedayo, please.
All right. I must say it has been a wonderful time meeting with Samuel, my co-facilitator, Madia, and Tabitha. Uh, and it's been an interesting one, I must say. I've got to learn from them as well. Yeah, well, what I would say is this for everyone is that persistency wears down resistance. Well, I'm not a motivational speaker, so that might sound like I'm just saying these are pretty much things that I've worked with for me for a very long time. Like I said, it's not always easy. It comes with its own challenge. I think when I started as a technical recruiter, in fact, my salary was it's a ridiculous one actually. That I was just like, I wasn't looking at what I would benefit. Like, I wasn't looking at like, I'm talking the monetary value, but I was looking at, okay, the learning experience. It was a very tough one. And, I grew under a toxic, like a toxic environment with a toxic boss. And, you know what that means to me mentally, but I was able to just like, okay, fine. I wasn't looking at the hassles, the pressure, but I was looking at, oh, this is what I need to know. This is what I need to take from this. At the same time, keeping the heads up. So I say to everyone, thank you for having me. And I look forward to meeting each and everyone at the other side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adedayo. Thank you. I hope you healed from your topic first. Of course, it's obvious. Thank you so much. In 1 minute, sir, in 1 minute, Samuel, what are your final words so we can wrap up? We've gone past schedule, but in 1 minute.
Okay. First, I need to say that the good news is that you guys, you are here. So that's the first step. You've heard all this. And the next step is for you to take it into practice. And like Tabitha said, no pressure. Do not pressure yourself, else you will get frustrated. Then I think the last thing I can just add to it is that when you've learned, pick up 1 or 2 skills, okay, or focus on a particular skill, okay, and be consistent in it. When you've learned, you've upskilled, I will advise you volunteer, okay, either for free or with less pay, volunteer or intern somewhere, so that you can put all those things you've learned into practice under a governance or under the governance of that environment. Okay, once you've done that, you will then, I think that is an opportunity for you to start learning soft skills, in an organization or in a structured environment, whether toxic or non-toxic, but you learn within the environment. And with what you've learned, you can use it to get other jobs, or you can use it to grow in your career. So that is all I have to say to guide you towards, starting your career in tech. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This section couldn't have told beautifully as we started and ended as we did right now without you beautiful tech talents honoring Career Life Nigeria's invitation and gracing us with your virtual presence and holding it all together, which is a way of giving back to the community. We are so grateful. We send warm wishes over and say thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tabitha. Thank you so much, Madia. Thank you so much, Adedayo. And thank you so much, our senior software engineer, Samuel. We are really grateful. And thank you also to the community members that joined here on Zoom and also on YouTube. Thank you. We're grateful. Career Life Nigeria could not just do this on our own with no facilitator, no audience. But you guys came around, especially to our facilitators for making time out of your busy schedule, and for the ones that we also did at a very short notice. Thank you so much. We do appreciate you. We value you. So you can always connect with the facilitators on LinkedIn, and of course outside LinkedIn. If you're looking for mentors, these are your mentors. If you're looking for role models, these are your role models, and their names are seen on the screen is their LinkedIn name, as well as I'm sure because I looked them. So you have Tabitha Kavi, you have Adedayo Adeyemo, you have Samuel Iyomire, and you also have Madia Ubivole. So thank you so much, everyone, for doing this. Thank you, Madia, for joining us alongside your work function, and even Samuel who has another function, and Tabitha who is also at a Dev Fest event as well. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can't but say thank you. Thank you so much. So it's a wrap for the participants that are still sending questions to me. Please do well to reach out to them online and be sure that they will attend to your questions. Thank you so much. And community members, let's do this again next month related to children. We'll do this again next month. And to our facilitators, thank you so much and see you on the other side. Good night.